Welcome to some more Camp Geek Squad. Today, as you can tell, we're going to be talking about Disney Plus version of Percy Jackson. Today, we're going to be talking about our dream cast. Now, obviously, we're not going to be able to cast the younger people like Percy Jackson, Annabeth, those type of people, because they're going to be young. They're going to be age around 9 to 11 now, because casting and all that won't be done until late 2021, and by the time they're recording, the cast are going to need to be around 12ish, or look 12ish, to do with the series, because it's going to take from 12 to 16 for the first series, and if they do Heroes of Olympus, it'll take longer. So we're going to talk about the gods and the adult figures. Now, there are people I haven't quite cast yet. There are people I've only cast one person for, because what I want to do is give 3 options, and as a community and in the comment section, we decide who we want to do. Now, some of them are just a bit of a joke option I've chosen. Some I think might be good, and some you'll just see. So we're not going to talk about Zeus, Poseidon, or Hades, the big 3. I think they deserve their own one. I have got a few cast choices for them. 1 for Zeus, 1 for Poseidon, and 2 for Hades. I'm not going to talk about Athena yet, or Argus, or Artemis, or Hermes, Hephaestus, Hestia, or Hera. Even though with Hera I've chosen one person so far who I think is just the perfect role. But today we're going to talk about Apollo, Ares, Mr. D or Dionysus, and Chiron/Chiron, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Alright, so first we're going to start with the god of war himself, Ares. Now, Ares is a big part of the first book, especially with his fight with Percy. So he's gonna need to be cast quite early. Obviously not early, but he's gonna need to be cast for the first series. Now, Ares, right? I have 3 choices, right? Jason Momoa, who plays Aquaman. Lots of people would say he could play Poseidon, but I don't see him as a Poseidon. But God of War, for me, he's my first choice God of War, right? First choice Ares. The second 2 choices are very similar to each other and often, spoken about, and that's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Terry Crews. I was about to say Cherry Jefford because of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but I think they have the physique and that, but I still think Jason Momoa makes a better choice. For Apollo, my options are Tom Holland. We all know him from Spider-Man. That's the main thing most of us geeks know him from. He's got that youthful look, and you can understand why he'd be vain, because obviously Apollo's quite vain in the books, especially in the Trials of Apollo, which I've only just started reading the first book of that, only on chapter 7, so no spoilers, please. Then Darren Criss, he's been on the musical crossover of Flash and what's his face? Supergirl. But he's also played Blaine on Glee. I think he'd make a good choice as well. I've also got Josh Hutcherson. I don't know. I think I've butchered the last name. Played Peter in The Hunger Games. I've also got him cast for another role, potentially cast for another role as well. I've also got Zac Efron, who's also cast for another role, but we'll see about that. But I think the vein, and now that I'm thinking about it, Grant Gustin as well is a potential person for Apollo. Now the other people we're going to talk about obviously the 2 main adults out of the 3, but the 2 main ones out of the adults at Camp Half-Blood, Chiron and Mr. D. Now for Mr. D, obviously we've got Danny DeVito. Who wouldn't choose Danny DeVito here? He is the first role we all think, but some people want to save him for Coach Hedge if we potentially do Heroes of Olympus, which I hope that they do. But he's also probably going to be reprising his role as Coach Phil in the live-action Hercules. So my other role is Jack Black, and I think those 2 are perfect for that role. Now, Chiron, the last one we're going to talk about, we've got 3 huge names, right? Huge names. The first one I thought of was Russell Crowe, right? You know him from Man of Steel, Les Mis, other big roles. He's a big character. Now, I mean, let's face it, he's got that, I don't know, he's got that like older, he can play an older, wiser character quite well. He's got that fatherly vibe to him a bit, you know, so I'd see that. My other choices is Keanu Reeves. I mean, come on, who doesn't love the man? He would be awesome. He's got that, you know, I think he can prove, we all know he can fight, you know, looks good in an action sequence, which obviously Karen will be a part of. But I think he can be like himself in real life, you know, quite chill, fatherly, all that. And the last one is, well, Ewan McGregor.
I'm like, I am Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi.
You might know from Obi-Wan, as playing as Obi-Wan Kenobi in Star Wars. He's just, I mean, that's self-explanatory, hopefully. But yeah, those are all the options I've chosen for today's video. Next time we'll be looking over, hopefully, Hermes, Artemis, Hera, and maybe 1 or 2 others. But yeah, this is part 1. I think part 2 will either come in 2-3 weeks. I think next week's either going to be a music video for Doctor Who or Lucifer, but it may not be. We'll see. Anyway, till next time, peace out, stay geeking, and watch out for any of those monsters. We don't want you getting killed before you can make it to Camp Geek Squad. Peace.